Hi, and welcome back. We are Allen High School AP/IB Chemistry, working on now naming and formula writing. Let's move on to the naming of ionic substances. In the last video, we went from name to formula. This time we want to go from formula to name. Now, I provided some scaffolding to help you out here, but some of you don't need much of this scaffolding anymore. Now, let's first look at the cation charge, the positive. Now, lead can either be +2 or +4, and so we have to figure out using algebra which one it is. Chloride is always -1 when it's ionic, and so this is my algebra. I have one lead, I don't know its charge, I've got two chlorides, they're each -1. It's a neutral formula unit, and that means that X is equal to +2. That tells me that indeed we don't have lead 4, we have lead 2 chloride. So to name these, you always give the metal its first name. We don't change the names for metals, just nonmetals. For the nonmetal, we change it from chlorine to chloride. And if it's a transition or lead, tin, bismuth, elements like that with more than one oxidation number, we need a Roman numeral to communicate that it's lead 2 as opposed to lead 4. All right, let's look at the next one. Barium, Bai2. Barium's group 2, it's always +2. I have a firm rule. I have my nonmetal, iodine, it's -1, and honestly, it really should be 1 negative or just negative, just trying to make a point there. Normally, we wouldn't put the number 1 there. That would be implied. We don't need any algebra because we don't need any Roman numerals. Give it its metal name, change the nonmetal to IDE, and it's barium iodide. Let's look at the next one, Cu2S. Well, copper, you're going to be memorizing ultimately, can be +1 or +2, and we have to figure out which one it's going to be. Sulfide, the sulfur in a compound, is always -2. So we know the ending name already. It's sulfide. And we actually know that it's copper. What we don't know yet is what should go in that Roman numeral. And to do that, you need a little bit of algebra. I have 2 coppers. I don't know its charge. I have 1 sulfide at -2. That has to equal 0. Or you can use the streamlined approach I showed you earlier. And we find indeed that it was copper 1 sulfide, not copper 2 sulfide. So copper 2 sulfide would just be Cus. All right, silver is always +1, so no Roman numeral. There's no need to communicate it's +1 because it's always +1 in a compound. The nitride's -3, so we really don't need much algebra or work at all. Silver, you always name the metal, and then the nonmetal changes to IDE. Now, I want to note here, do you notice we dropped the UR in sulfur? Sulfide, sulfur, the UR, the OR, and phosphorus is often dropped. Okay. Now, what do we do with polyatomics? Well, it's the same thing. Ternary means 3 elements, and that's what your polyatomics are going to have, at least 3 element types. Not numbers, but element types. Okay, and all we have to do here is name the metal and name the polyatomic for the naming portion of it. In the naming portion, we're going to include that Roman numeral. Other than that, it's what we saw before. So let's write our ions down. Ammonium is +4. You need to make sure you put this in your journal. That's one of the things I had anticipated your journal being, is also a place to keep a running list of things you have to memorize. Ammonia is NH3. Ammonium is NH4 +1. Phosphate's -3. My least common multiple is 3, so I need 3 of the ammoniums, and I need 1 of the phosphates. Now, if you need more than 1 of a polyatomic, you have to put parentheses around it, because I have 3 of the whole ammoniums, not just 3 times the hydrogen. So that means I have 12 hydrogens and 3 nitrogens. and then I would put my single phosphate down. That Roman numeral tells me I have copper plus 2. If you don't know your polyatomics, you're in really, really big trouble. Okay, if the charges are the same, there's no algebra. You don't have to worry about least common multiple. Just slap those puppies together. And we get CuSO4. Okay, zinc. You have to memorize zinc is always plus 2. It's one of those stair steps. Chlorate's a polyatomic, and you have to memorize those polyatomics. Least common multiple is 2. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 1 is 2. So that would give me a total of plus 2 and a total of minus 2. So there's my charge balance. And I would have zinc. If you have more than one of a polyatomic, you must put that parentheses. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people do zinc hydroxide this way. And that's not zinc hydroxide. That too applies to the oxygen and the hydrogen, and you won't get it right. So be very, very careful. All right, I'm going to be giving you a full naming flowchart in class. This gives you a portion of it that summarizes what we have done so far in terms of naming ionic compounds. All right, so leave you at that. Good reference for class, YBCT. And at some point you're going to be wondering what YBCT means. And so until then, this is signing off.